Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Andrei Paskryakov, your host of our little cozy podcast, the Salesforce United podcast. Today we talk with Bogdan Kharbulev about his experience in Salesforce, in business analysis, and the best part, about his experience as lead functional consultant in Salesforce practice at EPAM Systems. Welcome, Bogdan.
Hello, nice to meet you. So, as it was said, I'm Bogdan. I'm lead functional Salesforce consultant with 7 years of Salesforce production experience. I'm now a resource manager, head of Salesforce subunit with a team of 9 BAs and functional consultants.
Let's talk about start of your career. Can you tell us a little about the first Salesforce project you were involved in? What was your first impression?
Yeah, actually, it was somewhere about 7 years ago. I've joined a project where I played the role of Salesforce consultant. I was working primarily on ready for implementation tasks and doing very basic configuration. Our project was about supporting Sales Cloud for the US company, which was selling its services based on the subscription model. And I do remember this project not because of the complexity of the delivered solution I was involved to, but actually because it was my very first WebEx experience ever. Even more, my first WebEx experience was in almost empty office at about 8 or 9 p.m. since it was a US customer, and I was dialing in from the phone into the online meeting room. And my task for this meeting was nothing more than actually present myself to the customer, to on-site development team, and what was very important, I had to possess myself as a very experienced and talented Salesforce consultant. Well, it's worth mentioning that my experience that time was actually limited to Salesforce workbook educational materials. And those who just started Salesforce, it was a time when Trailhead was not available. Everything we had that day was a 90 pages PDF, which was called Salesforce Workbook. Basically, it's current help pages. So as the result, short paragraph, which I have learned by heart, told by a trembling voice, and this is how my first project experience have started. Later on, of course, we have participated on number of daily calls, regular refinement sessions, so that conference calls with customers became regular routine of my daily consultant activities. On that project, and of course on every subsequent project.
Yeah, you told us about life of Salesforce functional consultant, and I would like to give our listeners a clear picture of what actually functional consultants do on the Salesforce project. Tell us more about daily life of functional consultant.
Yeah, that's a good question. There are a lot of great YouTube videos about the Salesforce engineer, Salesforce consultant, or engineer on fund companies, right? So actually, functional consultant on a Salesforce project is a person who conducts regular BA activities such as discovery, refinement, solicitations, writing user stories, working closely with the development team to clarify everything that needs clarification, and of course collaboration with stakeholders. But unlike regular business analysts, consultants are very integrated into the platform and to the solution which is delivered as a part of the project. A benefit of being a consultant is actually an ability to influence the solution. Consultants are able to think about the solution at the time as they speak with the stakeholders, which actually would drive this conversation correctly, where all of the potential technical questions or limits will be answered or avoided. And to me, this is actually the point which drives me specifically. Salesforce consultants are able to directly answer various platform questions without going back and forth to the development team, as well as suggest Salesforce standard approach in order to make sure that Salesforce features are utilized and utilize when it's possible, and at the same moment of time there is no extra development applied where it is not necessary. Coming back to your question, day in life of Salesforce Functional Consultant, I'll tell you about my experience, right? So usually mornings are busy with inbox cleanup, internal sync-ups, dailies with the project team. They usually are followed by some ad hoc meetings with the developer for the question which appeared for him yesterday, or about the question which was parked during the daily. Noon is usually about working on the backlog, finishing existing or creating new user stories, as well as preparation to the upcoming regular refinements with the customer, product owner, or end users. Then I don't know if it's only me, but sometimes it's hard to follow personal calendar and have lunch on time. Some urgent questions, clarifications, or follow-ups usually appear, which moves lunch sooner or later, right? So you never know when you will have lunch. After lunch, I usually have a refinement call with a customer where we discuss all upcoming priorities, review backlog, and discuss features to be delivered. Refinements always finish with list of homework to be done, right? And this homework is about either updating acceptance criteria or creating technical specifications, or update requirement documentation or process maps. Design and architecture calls are also part of regular activities. Review requirements with architects to confirm development approach, let's say cover edge cases or bypass Salesforce limits, which we have a lot of them, right? Afternoons, right? Afternoons usually busy with, again, emails, working with documentation, preparing some proof of concepts, and completing other homework items which were collected throughout the day. And overall, I think Salesforce Functional Consultant Day is not that different from regular BA. Even more, I would say those are pretty similar. Of course, it depends on the project and the structure of the team, mostly. But as I said, consultants, right, have a great portion of Salesforce flavor on top.
Great. I'm excited by the way you described the difference between business analysts and functional consultants. So just to outline it once more, like functional consultant is a business analyst plus good knowledge of a platform plus the intention to impact the solution chosen, right?
Yes, pretty much like that. And it also is saying that best Salesforce consultants are former BAs, right? So BAs which have this experience of being BA in the project, providing requirement specifications, which then learned Salesforce on top of it.
Okay, great. Let's dive into that topic, because I know something about your work, and I know you've made a training specifically tailored for business analysts in Salesforce practice. Tell us more about it.
Yes, we actually have conducted a BA upskill program at EPAM. Actually, marketing name of the program, the way how we presented it to the audience, was labeled "How to Jump from BA into Salesforce Consulting." So it was created for current BAs who were looking for specialization, right? Obviously, we can offer Salesforce as a specialization for your self-development. We had pilot program, and the pilot program was designed for EPAMers who are BAs with the seniority of middle and above. And the rest of candidate requirements were very simple. We were looking for someone who have frontline experience on the project. As we remember, for a consultant, it's very important to have that skills and experience. We were looking for somebody who have at least high level of CRM knowledge, right? What it is, why we need it for. Somebody with good level of English, and of course, the most important would be high motivation to become a consultant. What we did there, it actually was a 8-week long program where we have started from an overview of who are actually Salesforce consultants and what do they do on Salesforce project. Later on, we have intensively provided Salesforce overall Salesforce knowledges, reviewed multiple clouds, their main use cases. We also did a deep dive into Sales Cloud specifically. Separate sessions were dedicated to Salesforce setup, which is data model, relationships, securities, Salesforce automations. And then we have finished our course with an overview of the best practices we have gathered and helped our students to prepare and pass Salesforce admin certification. If we talk about results of this program, I would say program went well. And we can say it based on the results, actually. We have BAs who have already passed Salesforce admin certifications. But what is more important for EPAM practice, let's say, they are already a part of the Salesforce projects for different customers here at EPAM. And also, I would love to mention that some of them have switched their practice from general BA to Salesforce, which have increased the headcount of our department. 2 of them actually switched to my unit. Speaking about differences, this training is not a BA training. This is completely different program. As we discussed before, a consultant is a role which combines BA skills and the Salesforce knowledge. That's why our training was tailored for existing BAs to support them with getting new platform knowledge and prepare for next Salesforce project. We have not provided any BA-specific materials, but we have discussed how their current skill set can be utilized while taking a new role on a Salesforce project.
Salesforce recently presented a new credential, Salesforce Certified Business Analysts. And what can you say about it?
Well, that's a pretty new one, right? It's a few months old. But if you recall what we were talking about, the program we have designed, Salesforce Functional Consultants from existing BA, right? So that the person on our program gained Salesforce knowledge. Salesforce Business Analyst certification is basically an opposite stuff. So there are lots of Salesforce experts who have started their career at Salesforce or with Salesforce as a Salesforce administrators. They were working primarily on the setup side and doing some setup on the projects. So as a result, they have knowledge about Salesforce platform, they have technical skills, and they have hands-on experience. Some of them have become Salesforce certified administrators. But at the same time, on the other hand, they have probably lack of BA skills or BA experience, and they would like to focus on their soft skill developments of the business analyst. Even if we check from the topics which are covered in this exam, those are the following, like customer discovery, collaboration with stakeholders, business process mapping, requirement gathering, user stories, and acceptance testing, and user acceptance. So we can see that this exam is focused mostly on best practices of business analyst. So this is a great opportunity to dive deeper into topics about requirement gathering, customer collaboration, agile best practices. And I know that substantial amount of questions are about process mapping, journey mapping, and different diagrams. This is exactly what functional consultants do, right, when we are involved on the Salesforce project. By the way, it's important to know that there is one prerequisite for this certification. You must have a Salesforce admin certification. So you see, in total, it's actually a bit opposite. Salesforce Business Analyst certification are tailored for people who have Salesforce knowledge but lack BA skills.
Okay, great. So it looks like your program and Salesforce accelerator certification for business analysts. It's like two roads to the same final point.
Yeah, we might say so, but they start from different point, but they end up in the same role, right? That's what you can say.
Great. Let's talk about career of functional consultant. Many functional consultants, I'm sure, ask themselves where this path leads. How do you see our career development?
There are multiple directions you can grow, and all of them are actually dependent on what skills you have and what skills are privileged in you, either BA skills or technical skills. From the beginning, let's say, as higher the seniority level you have, more soft skills should be developed, right? That's
exactly.
And no matter which career path you choose, you most likely will be doing some people management, either leading the team within the project or being a manager or mentor outside of the project activities. Same with functional consultants, right? So in future, you do either or more technical or more business oriented, but you will be doing some other stuff with other people. Let's start from more business oriented paths. This path would actually bring us to either product management or delivery management. Everyone on the project have those roles, right? So you know what those roles are about. You'll be more involved into relationship establishment with the customer, making sure team is building proper solution, as well as team will fit into the time frames and the budget, right? That's basically what you will do. Probably that's too simplified version of delivery management and product management, but in general, everybody understands this flow. Another technical, or I would say more technical oriented path for functional consultants would be solution architect role. This role you still could take, but this role suspects you have deep knowledge about architecture theory, enterprise architecture. You should know how to follow best practices on the project. And you would have to understand, the structure of all your artifacts that software architects are producing, such as, let's say, architecture document, assessment reports, decision logs, and many, many more. So there is a variety of choice that consultant could take in future. And I definitely think that everyone will be able to find, the right path for himself.
And I want to ask personal question, 100% personal. What career path do you choose for yourself?
I actually have an answer for this personal question. For myself, I'm more about product management in future. So, as I told you before, yes, I'm driven by the solution which I can present, or by the solution I can suggest. But also, which drives me personally, that would be the conversation with other management of the company who needs some solution. When I can understand what they're looking for, and when I see the success of the project in terms of, yes, we have built this is what increased their productivity, this has increased their satisfaction of daily routine of the end users. This is what drives me personally. And taking this opportunity within EPAM, I'm actually have already started learning this path to the product management, and I envision myself being there, in some period of time, hopefully short.
Great. We all wish you luck. Bogdan, I want to thank you for the great conversation and information you provided.
Thank you. Would be happy to see you again here.
And as always, I want to thank our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Salesforce United podcast.